Avoidant people are often misunderstood. They don't express love the way most people expect. They don't always say, "I love you." They don't always initiate hugs or conversations, and sometimes they even pull away. But don't be fooled. Avoidant people feel deeply. They just protect themselves deeply too. So if an avoidant person starts doing these things, it's not just affection, it's love. When an avoidant opens up emotionally, even if it's just a small detail about their fears, childhood, or pain, it's huge. For someone who values independence and emotional safety, letting you into their inner world means you are not a threat, you are their peace. They may not speak love in words, but letting you see their vulnerability is their way of saying, "I trust you with my heart." An avoidant in love makes time for you. It may not be every day, and it might not be over-the-top romantic gestures, but you will notice consistency. They will check in, reply to your messages, and show up when they say they will. Why? Because love turns their avoidance into effort. And no matter how much they value their personal space, they start creating space for you inside their life. When they start to miss you, even if they don't say it out loud, you will feel it through their actions. They might send a simple, "Are you home?" or "Did you eat?" These aren't just questions. They're quiet love letters. For someone who runs from emotional dependency, missing you and reaching out is their heart whispering the truth. Another sign, they try to solve problems instead of walking away from them. Avoidants usually escape conflict. They go silent. But if they start staying, discussing, apologizing, or trying to understand your feelings, it means you matter more than their comfort. The relationship is no longer a battlefield. It becomes something worth fighting for. They also let you in physically in their safe space, their room, their home, their quiet moments. They might want to spend time in silence with you, not talking, just being present. To them, silence with the right person is louder than love songs. And the biggest sign when they say, "I'm scared of losing you." Avoidants don't admit fear. Control and distance are their shields. But if they break that shield just to hold on to you, understand that's love in its purest, rawest form. When someone has an avoidant personality, they don't open up easily, and they don't let people into their inner world without a powerful reason. Their whole life is built around emotional safety, independence, and control. They carefully filter who they talk to and what parts of themselves they reveal. So when an avoidant person starts sharing their personal thoughts, fears, past trauma, childhood memories, insecurities, or emotions with you, even in the smallest way, it's not random and it's not casual. This is one of the biggest signs that they genuinely love you. They don't do vulnerability. They don't like to depend on others emotionally. For them, feelings are risky. Trust is risky. So if they hand you a piece of their heart instead of hiding it, you need to understand how meaningful that is for them. At first, they might test the waters. They won't tell you everything at once. Instead, they'll start with something small, maybe a story from their childhood, a memory that hurt them, or a moment when they felt abandoned or misunderstood. They're not telling you this to get your pity. They're telling you because they're silently saying, "This is me. This is the part I usually hide from everyone, but I want you to know me." They're inviting you into a room of their soul that has always been locked, and they're giving you the key, trusting you not to destroy it. That silent trust is love in their language. You might notice that they open up in quiet, safe moments, not in dramatic conversations. Maybe during a late night drive, or when you're sitting together in silence, or while you're just lying next to each other. Avoidants often struggle to say things directly, like, "I love you," or "I need you," but they communicate their love through vulnerability. If they tell you they're scared of something, or they talk about their deepest doubts, it means they feel safe in your presence. To them, safety is love. Even their tone changes when they share. They might speak softer, slower, or avoid eye contact because emotions make them uncomfortable. They fear judgment. They're scared that if they show too much, you might leave or use it against them. But if they still talk, still open up even when every part of them wants to run, understand that you have become someone important, someone they don't want to lose. You'll also notice they don't do this with everyone. They may have friends or family they never open up to. They might look emotionally distant to others, but with you, they're different. They let their guard down. That's because love makes them brave in ways they're not used to. And it's not that they stop being avoidant. It's that their love for you becomes stronger than their fear of intimacy. Sometimes they might tell you things like, I don't usually talk about this, or I've never told anyone this before. When you hear that, understand the depth behind those words. They're not trying to impress you. They're telling you that you are the first person who made them feel emotionally safe. And with avoidant people, emotional safety is love. So when they open up, don't interrupt, don't judge, and don't rush them. Just listen. Be present. They don't want you to fix them. They just want you to understand them. And in that moment, when an avoidant chooses to reveal their heart, it's not just a conversation. It's a quiet confession of love. One of the clearest signs that an avoidant person truly loves you is when they make time for you and show consistency. Avoidant individuals deeply value their space, their independence, and their routines. They are not the kind of people who naturally crave constant interaction or emotional closeness. In fact, too much closeness often overwhelms them. So when someone like this starts giving you their time, starts replying to your messages, showing up when they say they will, or simply making an effort to be present in your life, it is not accidental. It is intentional. It's love expressed through effort, not words. They might not be the kind of person who sends good morning texts every day or writes long emotional messages, but you'll notice subtle consistency. Maybe they check in to ask if you've eaten, or they message at the same time every night before sleeping. They might not always initiate long conversations, but they don't disappear for days like they used to. They remember things you say. They make plans and actually follow through. For them, this is huge. Time is something they protect, and if they are giving it to you, it means you've become someone they don't want to lose. They might still need space sometimes, but the difference is they come back. They don't leave you wondering for too long. They don't go silent without reason. And if they do get distant, they feel something pulling them back towards you. It may bother them that they miss you, but they still call, still text, still show up. That is love fighting through fear. That is attachment growing stronger than avoidance. You might notice small changes in their routine. Someone who used to make decisions alone may start asking for your opinion. Someone who preferred being alone on weekends might suddenly invite you to spend time with them, even if it's just quietly sitting together. They don't need big dates or candlelight dinners to show love. Sometimes it's something as simple as saying, "Are you free tomorrow?" or waiting for you before they start eating. These things may sound small, but for them, it's a silent statement. You matter in my world. Consistency is their way of building trust. They know that love isn't only feelings, it's showing up even when it's uncomfortable. They may not understand romance the way movies show it, but they understand responsibility. They understand loyalty. And if they choose you, they try to become someone you can rely on, even if it's hard for them. They might not always say, "I miss you," but you'll feel it. They might send a random meme at 2 a.m., call to ask where you are, or just say, "Did you reach home safely?" These questions aren't just casual. They're concern wrapped in simplicity, care disguised as normal conversation. It's their way of loving quietly. So, when an avoidant person keeps showing up, keeps making time, and doesn't allow distance to ruin the bond, understand this. They may not always say it, but in their mind, you are already part of their life. And for someone who always thought they were better off alone, choosing to stay is the loudest way they say, "I love you," When someone with an avoidant attachment style begins to reach out first or subtly shows they miss you, it's not a casual act. It's a quiet confession of how deeply you matter to them. Avoidants are known for pulling away when emotions get intense. They prefer emotional distance because it feels safe and controllable. They don't like dependent on anyone, and they hate the idea of needing someone. So when an avoidant person begins to text you first, asks how your day was, or checks in just to know if you're okay, it isn't just normal communication. It's their heart breaking through their walls, choosing connection over protection. They might not say, "I miss you," but their actions carry that meaning. It could be a late night text saying, "Are you awake?" Or something simple like, "Did you eat? Are you home? How was your day?" These questions may seem ordinary, but coming from an avoidant, they're full of emotion. They don't do small talk just to pass time. Reaching out means they were thinking about you when you weren't there. And thinking about someone in their quiet moments means you have taken space in their mind and in their heart. Their way of missing you isn't loud or dramatic. They won't call you crying or say, "I can't live without you." Instead, it's quieter, like sending a random picture, reacting to your story, reminding you to take your medicine, or asking if you got home safe. These are tiny messages that translate to one thing: I care. I want to be part of your life, even in the smallest ways. And for someone who runs from emotional dependence, choosing to stay connected is a form of love. Sometimes they will reach out after a period of distance. They might need time alone to process their feelings, but when they come back, it's because they realized your absence feels heavier than the fear of closeness. Loving someone makes them uncomfortable, not because they don't feel love, because they feel it too much and don't know how to handle it. So if they return, don't mistake it for inconsistency. See it as courage. Even the way they text or speak changes. They may not use hearts or romantic words, but they'll ask if you slept well, if you're stressed, if you made it home safe. It's their subtle way of saying, "I was thinking about you. I want you to be okay." They might even send you songs, quotes, or memes that remind them of you. They don't say, "I love you." But the effort is there, hidden between the lines. And when they miss you more than they can handle, they'll want to see you. They might not plan a fancy date, but they'll ask, "Are you free today?" Or, "Do you want to come over?" They find excuses to be around you. Maybe they ask for your help with something small, or say they're nearby just by coincidence. But deep down, it's not about the task. It's about being close to you without having to say why. So when an avoidant reaches out first, checks on you, or shows concern in small, practical ways, don't underestimate it. That's their love speaking in the only language they trust: actions, not words. And for someone who fears attachment, choosing you, thinking of you, and quietly missing you is one of the most powerful signs that they truly love you. Avoidant people are known for withdrawing when things become emotionally overwhelming. They don't like confrontation, they don't like emotional chaos, and they absolutely avoid situations that make them feel vulnerable or out of control. So when conflict happens, arguments, misunderstandings, hurt feelings, their first instinct is to step away, shut down, or stay silent. They distance themselves not because they don't care, but because caring too much scares them. That's why when an avoidant person starts to stay during conflict, tries to talk things through, or makes an effort to solve problems with you instead of running away, it's one of the strongest signs that they truly love you. It may not be obvious at first. They won't suddenly become an expert at communication or express their feelings perfectly. But you'll notice little shifts. They no longer disappear for days after a disagreement. They might stay quiet for a while, but then they come back with a calmer tone, willing to talk. They may send a simple message like, "Can we talk?" Or, "I didn't want to fight with you." Those words might seem small, but for someone who has always chosen distance over discussion, choosing to stay is their way of saying, You matter more than my comfort. Sometimes they won't know how to fix things, but they'll try. They might say, I don't know what to say, but I don't want us to be upset, or I don't want to lose you. Avoidants rarely admit fear, especially the fear of losing someone. But love makes them brave, not in loud ways, but in gentle persistence. Even if they don't have the right words, their effort is loud enough, because effort for them is love. They may apologize, not dramatically, not with big speeches, but in quiet ways. Maybe they bring you your favorite snack. Maybe they sit beside you silently, or maybe they just whisper, I'm sorry, without eye contact. They're not used to being soft in front of someone, but if they do it for you, it's because losing the relationship hurts more than lowering their pride. They start valuing peace over protection, connection over ego. And then there are moments when they don't fully understand your emotions, but still try to. They might ask, what did I do wrong? Not to defend themselves, but to understand you better. They may not respond perfectly, but they listen. They try to be patient. They try to control their instinct to walk away. They are learning how to stay even when it's uncomfortable. You will also notice that arguments no longer end in silence or walls. They end in solutions, even if imperfect ones. Maybe they don't express everything, but they try their best not to let anger become distance. They return even when their mind tells them to run, because their heart tells them to stay. That battle between fear and love happens quietly inside them, and every time love wins, they come back to you. So when an avoidant person chooses to stay during conflict, when they sit beside you instead of shutting the door, when they choose resolution instead of distance, understand what you're really seeing. You're seeing someone who has spent their whole life running from pain, now choosing to face it because they can't imagine life without you in it. And that is one of the purest forms of love they can give. You know, an avoidant person truly loves you when they begin to let you into their personal space, the place where they feel safest, the space they protect from the world. Avoidants don't give access to their private life easily. Their home, their room, their silence, their quiet routines, these are not just physical spaces. These are emotional walls. They use distance as protection, privacy as comfort. So when they invite you into that world, not just physically, but emotionally, it means you're not just someone they like, you've become someone they trust. It could be something as simple as them allowing you to stay in their room, even when they are working or doing nothing. They might not talk much, but they let you be there. To many people, this might not seem like a big romantic gesture, but for someone who needs solitude to feel safe, allowing your presence in their quiet moments means they feel safer with you than without you. They don't need to entertain you, impress you, or perform for you. They just want you there in their peace. You'll notice they slowly start to show you the unfiltered version of themselves, their messy room, their unstyled hair, their silent moods. They don't hide behind perfection anymore, because with you, they don't feel judged. They don't feel watched. They feel seen. And being seen without needing to hide is rare for them. They don't usually allow someone to see their weaknesses, their flaws, or the parts of themselves that feel too much. But if they let you into that space, it's because your presence feels like comfort, not pressure. Sometimes it's in the littlest gestures. They might cook for you in their kitchen, let you wear their clothes, or fall asleep next to you without worrying about how they look. They might not speak much, but they'll make room for you on the couch or rest their head on your shoulder during a quiet movie. This silent closeness is something they only share with someone they deeply care about. They don't need noise or constant conversation. They just need you beside them. Even more, they begin to share their routines with you. Their favorite coffee spot, their late night thoughts, the playlist they listen to when no one is around. These aren't random details. These are personal rituals, private corners of their life. Giving you access to them is their way of saying, this is who I am when the world isn't looking. and I trust you with it. And one of the most powerful signs is when they allow silence with you. Most people think love is in words, but for an avoidant, love often lives in silence. When they can sit next to you, not talking, not performing, just breathing in the same space and feel completely okay, completely safe. That's love in its purest form for them. Because silence with the wrong person feels heavy, but silence with the right person feels like home. So when they start inviting you into their house, their room, their quiet mornings, their late night thoughts, that's not ordinary. That's a sacred opening. They are letting you into the one place where they never let anyone stay too long, their inner world. And that is their way of saying, I choose you. Not just when I'm smiling, but when I'm real. One of the most powerful signs that an avoidant person truly loves you is when they finally admit they are scared of losing you. Avoidant individuals rarely express fear, especially emotional fear. They don't like to rely on others. They don't like the idea of needing someone. And they certainly don't like revealing that someone has the power to hurt them. To them, vulnerability is dangerous and attachment feels like a risk. They build walls not because they feel nothing, but because they feel too much and don't know how to handle it. So when someone like that says, even in the smallest way, I don't want to lose you, understand the weight of those words. They're not just expressing love. They're surrendering their biggest fear. It may not come out in the perfect sentence. They might not say, I'm afraid of losing you directly. Instead, it might sound like, please don't leave, or I don't want things to end, or I know I mess up, but I want this to work. They might even say it in frustration, like, why are you giving up on us? Or are you going to leave too? These words, even when imperfect, are filled with a deep truth. Their heart is no longer numb. They care, and caring scares them. Avoidants usually believe that the safest way to live is to not depend on anyone. So admitting that your presence matters to them, that your absence would hurt them, is something they don't do unless the love is real. They don't confess their fears for attention. They don't use emotional words lightly. If they tell you they're afraid of losing you, it means they've been thinking about life without you. And it terrifies them more than closeness does. Sometimes, instead of words, their fear shows through actions. They might become more attentive, more careful with their words, more present. They might check in more often, apologize more sincerely, or try harder to understand your feelings. They're not doing this because someone told them to. They're doing this because somewhere in their heart, they realized losing you would be far more painful than dealing with their own discomfort. They may also express this fear during moments of vulnerability. Late at night, after an argument, or when you seem distant, their voice may soften, their walls may lower, and in that fragile moment, you'll see a side of them that very few people ever get to see. The part that feels deeply, that loves quietly, and that is terrified of heartbreak. Love doesn't remove their fear. It simply makes them brave enough to admit it. They might say things like, I know I act cold sometimes, but I do care, or I just don't want to lose you like I lost others. And when they say this, it's not to manipulate. They're revealing a scar, a wound, a memory of abandonment or disappointment. They're telling you that loving you makes them happy, but the idea of losing you breaks something inside them. And for someone who has always chosen distance over pain, choosing you over that fear is one of the bravest things they can do. So when an avoidant admits they're scared of losing you, don't take it lightly. They are not just giving you words. They are giving you their heart, trembling but true. And in that moment, what you're really witnessing is love, unpolished, unfiltered, but undeniably real.